Welcome to the VarsityKansas.com Prep Football Preview. I'm Joanna Chadwick. This is Tony Adame, and we are going to break down the final week of the high school football season for you right now. It starts Thursday night, and we have some really pretty good games in the Wichita area. Clearwater is at Trinity, and this is a big game because Trinity's in a situation where they have a chance to go to the playoffs for the first time. But Trinity has to beat Clearwater. Last year, Trinity was in the same position and lost to Clearwater, and Clearwater actually got a first-round win in Class 4A Division II. I think Trinity can do this.
I think if you look at them, how they've played all year, in the past there's been flashes. They've been so consistent all year. They've been the same team. We've talked about Sam Schroeder in the past and how consistent he's been. And, they do seem like a team that could make some damage in the state playoffs even.
But Clearwater always got to be a little scary there because they're clearly the underdog. Colin Ellis has done a nice job. He's about 900 rushing yards.
And history is a big thing. History in your own mind as a team getting over that block and other teams knowing that they can get you in those situations. So it's a big game for them.
I agree. All right, Garden Plain is at Kingman. And Garden Plain was unbeaten until they lost to Halstead last week. They threw an interception in the final seconds, and Halstead's still perfect. They're at Kingman. This is a tough one. They've got Alex Becker healthy. That is vital. But they got to get a win here to advance.
Yeah, and, he runs the offense so well, and you talked about in the last couple weeks how without him, even with talented players, they needed him to kind of guide that ship.
Yep. And Chaparral's at Conway, and this game comes down to you got to win. They both took losses to Cheney, and Cheney will most likely come out as the district champion here. You just got to win. And you know what? I kind of like that. I like these situations.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to get down to where they're not so much worried about points or whatever. They're like, if we win, we go. You lose, you're out. So that is nice. And you know what? Let's
talk about points because Friday night, Hutchinson is at Northwest, and there is a chance that Northwest could stay home at 8-1. Or if they lose by 13, they're still district champs, and if they lose by 20, they're still in the playoffs.
It's such a strange scenario. I covered the Garden City Northwest game last week to see Steve Martin after his team had gone 8-0 and really dominated Garden City in a battle of unbeatens, and he's out there, breaking out his iPhone with his calculator and trying to figure out how many points they'll be up and what sort of a scenario they need for the next weekend. It is pretty strange. Not something we'll have to worry about in the future, but how weird to be an 8-0 team and head into this game and have so many scenarios where you could even go home.
Well, and that to me is the most frustrating part of the system is that you could be 8-1 and be sitting at home. But of course, Northwest can just solve all this just by winning. And the fact is, Hutch's only two losses are to Garden City and to Derby. And Northwest, Kevin Folsom has just continued to lead them. But how about Jalil Rounds and Tony Joyner? Both of them, they're hovering right around 1,000 yards rushing.
And the way they use them is so perfect for that offense. Last week they finally went to, between the tackles, ISO, just taking people head on, and Rounds and Joyner are running backs who can play the power game or they can play the speed game. They can play that kind of skirt to the edge game, and then Folsom, throw Alex Bott in the Wildcat every now. They have so many offensive weapons that it's pretty amazing. And then the biggest weapon, obviously, is the line that dominates.
All right, moving on to Derby versus West. This is two 2-0 teams in Class 6A district play. And I would say Derby's the favorite here. Brady Russ just continues to lead this team in fine fashion. But West High, DeAnthony Andrews, he's more than 1,000 yards rushing right now.
Yeah, West might seem a little outmatched right here, in my opinion. But you never know with the Weston Sharks coach team because they're going to, go forward and just drop your thing, didn't you? Drop your whole notebook.
All my notebook.
We'll share mine. It's fine. Okay. They can be a little overmatched here, but, man, with Weston Sharks, he loves these kind of games. He can get his team up for a game like this. You've seen him do it over the last couple decades, so you just don't know.
No, you're exactly right. And Eisenhower is at Goddard, and here's two teams that will surprise. They're both 5-3, and the game comes down to, they're both in the playoffs. It comes down to who's going to be district champion. And I really struggled with this pick. I'm going to go ahead and go with Goddard. I like what Blake Sullivan has done with 1,100 passing yards and nearly 800 rushing yards. Cody Gonzalez, he's gone for more than 800 rushing yards. But, it's not an easy pick because Eisenhower counters that. Basically, how I picked it is I looked at who they beat, how much they won by, and that's how close to me that this game is because Mason Madsey, he's got, about 1,200 yards of offense, and Joseph Weebles had a really nice year running the ball.
Yeah, I'm going to go against you. I like Eisenhower in this one because Madsey is a quarterback who, it's so strange to think he's only a junior. I think he's already had like 5 second-half comebacks, and I think that he can throw the ball a little more than they let him because they, Mark Marinelli, their coach, has such a clock control, ball control type offense with Weeble and having Mason run the ball a lot. But I think he can throw a little more, and I'd be interested to see this game. It's going to be a great game, but I like Eisenhower.
Well, I tell you what, Eisenhower's probably glad that I'm not picking them because I failed so miserably when I do pick whichever way I pick them. All right. Bishop Carroll is playing Valley Center. Bishop Carroll, of course, continues. They're on a 7-game win streak. It's same sort of people. Jake Allen has just done a really nice job. I mean, he's a 1-year starting quarterback. That's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. It seems like they have guys that it's such a, it could be a ding to your ego to say, okay, you're only going to start this 1 year. At Bishop Carroll, it's a badge of honor to come in and do that, and you want to take that 1 year and hopefully win a state championship. It's such a interesting system to watch, how they bring the kids in like that. 1-year starters could be as good as anybody they've ever had.
And you know what? Wouldn't it be great if all programs could have that kind of a system where, you stick around, you don't quit your junior or senior year or transfer. Exactly. That's another day, though. All right. We have Southeast and East at South, and this is a game where Southeast wins. They're in the playoffs with 2 wins. Unless, of course, if North beats Junction City, which I'm not counting on happening. But if East wins, it comes down to points because you've got 3 teams that would be at 1 and 2.
North Junction City, I want to jump off real quick. Read Joanna's feature on Jose McDonald that she ran last week. It's amazing, and it's really good, VarsityKansas.com. But, yeah, this Southeast, to think they could be in there with 2 wins is kind of blows my mind.
Or that you could have 3 1 and 2 teams. Which could happen. East could come around and do it. All right, Heights and Capen, this is for the district championship right here. They're both 2-0.
Great game.
Rodney Murphy from Heights. He has got 22 touchdowns, and he's gone over 1,000 yards rushing, the first Heights kid since 2011, which I'm a little surprised by.
I'm a little surprised by it, too. And, Rodney Murphy was someone who, for several years, was just kind of one of the guys, one of their really fast guys that could throw in there that wasn't going to, necessarily blow you away but could pick up yards. And just this year, over the second half of the season, he's turned into a dominating running back who can kind of do it all. And it's been, interesting to watch him. You don't see guys usually develop that late in their career, but he's really come on strong.
And part of that has to do with their offensive line. Coach Harrison is extremely high on what their offensive line has done and how they've grown and moved from other positions into that system where, they've kind of struggled. They struggled a little early, but they're going up against Capen, and Heights has given up points. And you're going against Brock Monty and what he can do through the air and what they can do on the ground with Alexander Norris. I'm fascinated by this game.
It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to hear what happens there.
I'll make sure to tweet it out during the game. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah, I bet you will.
All right. Thanks so much for watching our prep football preview. Enjoy the final week of the regular season.